This is Western Mass News.
Amherst is without a superintendent at the moment as a Title IX investigation is underway and 3 school employees are now on paid administrative leave. Welcome everyone to Western Mass News at 6. I'm Chris Pisano. Western Mass News reporter Matt Satilli now joins us live in Amherst with more on this story. Matt.
Chris, dozens of people spoke out at an emergency school committee meeting last night after allegations of anti-LGBTQ plus discrimination surfaced. Now school committee members are tasked with finding a replacement for the superintendent, who is out on medical leave for the remainder of the school year. On Tuesday night, the Amherst School Committee held an emergency meeting, school officials calling it an emotionally charged discussion.
So I want to ask,
as former students, parents, and other community members spoke out for over 2 hours in the midst of a Title IX investigation alleging LGBTQ plus discrimination within the school district.
We are the experts of our own existence. We are discussing issues of life and death.
The reality is that as a whole, Amherst Regional is losing the trust of its community. You can only restore that trust through total transparency and accountability.
Western Mass News spoke with school committee chair Ben Harrington. He says he's in talks with 8 candidates for interim superintendent after Dr. Michael Morris took a leave of absence last Friday, citing health concerns.
So the ones that I've reached out to, I've got some emphatic no's and a couple yeses here and there. But yeah, there are some folks who are absolutely not interested in it, and I understand.
On Wednesday, school officials shared the list of potential candidates, which includes Mickey Gromacki, the vice principal at Amherst Regional High School, Trevor Baptiste, the former chair of the Amherst-Pelham Regional School Committee, and former Greenfield Superintendent Susan Hollins. One name not on that list, Assistant Superintendent Doreen Cunningham, who withdrew her name from the running last Thursday following pushback from the Amherst Education Association and others.
this is not about LGBTQ plus. This is a narrative. This is nasty work. This is disgusting work. This is agenda-driven. This is narrative-driven in order to overthrow leadership.
School officials say, in addition to helping the community heal, the attention now turns to another meeting on Thursday night, where the short list of candidates will be reviewed.
If everything goes right, at the end of the night, we should have an acting superintendent.
I checked back in with school committee members this afternoon. Of the list of 8 that you heard, Marta Guevara and Mary Custard both officially declined that list to be on the candidates for possible interim superintendent. I also asked Harrington what happens after that vote of no confidence, asking an investigation into Morris and for Cunningham to officially resign. He says it's too early to tell, but, quote, we are absolutely taking definitive action. For now, reporting live in Amherst, Matt Satilli, Western Mass News.
Matt, thank you for